sa mai sivito kena gona vai na tini kan 2 na miniti ana non de wasini gona vata na kavini moni tende ndai ke to e California ka tini tiko ni singa ni vulo July ya me vakana kene vakarau ando mai rongo di tiko na wasini ngauna karto vakarota ka tiko na Regional Pacific Islander Task Force.
Ongo na programa Warotaki man Regional Pacific Islander Task Force and a radio mulandong ante San Francisco na kauti kenta patumai.
Mai nonda vulangin do kai tiko en kavini kua ke Koa Lopez, vakatela kina ve Claricina, ia na nonda ulutanga tiko, se rona mai wakamadhala tiko na wekanda en singilivuni kua, me wakanga membaleta tiko indo na programo, karto mbitawata tiko ngoa na Regional Pacific Islander Task Force, membaleti kiamni tiko na itambangone, membaleti tiko na itambangone, wakambimbi tiko en county na Santa Clara County. Bula vinaka ke Koa and Claricina, how are you guys doing today?
Bula Vinaka, Una, and everybody today. I'm doing good. It's Monday. It's the start of the week, so just starting to get my wheels turning.
Awesome. How are you, Claricina?
Good, thank you. Bula Vinaka, everyone in Malalele. I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here with you all.
We're honored to have you. Thank you. And before we go on, just for our listeners' sake, could you please just introduce yourself, tell us a little about yourselves and the program?
Yeah, okay, I could go first, if you don't mind. So, hi everybody, I'm Keikoa Lopez Paguyo. I also go just by Koa, K-O-A. I'm Native Hawaiian, and I am currently the program manager at the Regional Pacific Islander Task Force, which means I really just manage a lot of different projects that are happening. But a little bit about the task force, we are a Pacific Islander focused advocacy organization. So we, for the most part, focus on Pacific Islander communities across the Bay Area. And we try to advocate around helping navigate people to health access points, organizing health events like for vaccination throughout the pandemic and things like that. But we're happy to be here today. I'll pass it over to Claricina.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
Thank you, Koa. Bula Vinaka and Malalele again, everyone. My name is Claricina Fifita. I also go by Sina. Pronouns she, hers. I am full Tongan. And I have been with the task force for about a year now. And I'm working as a logistics lead and community health worker, but also working with Koa and Tuna with Santa Clara County, like Koa mentioned. And I'm just so glad to be here with you all. And if I can pass it on to Tuna.
Is Tuna on the call as well?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Tuna. We do not see you.
Hi, Bula Vinaka.
Where are you?
Sorry?
Where are you? We're not able to see you.
Oh, I'm at home. My kids are here. So sorry, guys. I'll be off camera for now. But
it's okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
I am the health coordinator for Santa Clara County. We're working on a project there. And we're looking forward to do whatever we can to help out anyone on our end. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuna. Thank you, Sina. Koa, I know our listeners have seen Koa quite a bit because he's been always there for us in our events as well. I'm just going to go off in Fiji, and I want to talk about Santa Clara County and where is it at. Just for our listeners' sake, Santa Clara County ngo ke wakaoni sa Ndorongo the Tuna, San Jose. I also not Redwood City, Mountain View. Is that in Santa Clara County as well? It is. Mountain View, San Jose o Kilani, lewa be kamnini sa Ndorongo ada tu, go talangana vanua e lewa sara na kambani ramaitoia o takitio na kambani ni computer e tiko e na vanongo na Santa Clara County. Karto vengara vitiko ni kina na lewa tolu da artome nonda bulangin doka itiko na sing lewa ni ko membaleta tinga na programo karto sasanga takitiko me toia o takitiko for the youth, right? Mainly for the youth, and so over the years, from what Tao has always shared, it's always best to go through faith-based programs, faith-based organizations. Is that true?
Yeah, so like that's pretty much been our approach, I think, throughout the pandemic, really to try to reach the faith community where they're at, to then reach our Pacific Islander community. I think throughout the pandemic, we really relied on the faith leaders to earn trust with our community, to really explain like what was going on around them. And I think kind of emerging out of the pandemic now, we're still thinking like that. And how can we tap into the trust that the faith leaders have with all the church congregants that they serve? How can we tap into that, but then shift gears away from COVID, towards more just other services that the county and the government and the different resource partners and different organizations can support our community behind, that isn't COVID related, has been sort of what we're learning about now in Santa Clara County. But I don't know. What about you, Sina or Tuna? Do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add the importance of church and God in Pacific Islander community. I can speak for the Tongan community. We have a motto that says, "God and Tonga are our inheritance." So, like God said, we have to meet people where they're at, and we're also where we're at. So I think that's an important step, is just finding where our people are, and then
Where they worship.
And from there going on to helping them with like different health disparities that they're facing, and providing them with resources that can help them and their families live a healthier life.
Thank you, Sina. Toa, did you want to share something?
Or Tuna?
Tuna, sorry.
Oh, no worries. Do you have anything else to add to what we were saying?
Before we go into the actual program that we want to talk about today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, for those of you listening in, if you guys need help with anything, resources, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be here for you guys.
Thank you. And Tuna, since you just came on, I know I had asked the two to introduce themselves, and I wasn't aware that you were also on the call. So could you please just tell us a little about yourself?
Yes. My name is Tuna Bahai. I am full Tongan. I've been with the task force for 3 years now. I started off as doing contact tracing, case investigator for COVID, and just helping out the Pacific Islander community get resources and help during the pandemic. Yes.
Thank you. I think we've come a long way, right? The task force, Radio Mulando Vata, and the community. Here we are. How many years? 2 years after COVID? And we're still going strong, and now we're branching off into other areas of our lives, especially here as Pacific Islanders. And so let's talk about the program that we, I know that you two have been trying to get me to send you contacts for the churches, the Fijian churches in Santa Clara. I am going to get on it after the show. So could you please tell us what the program is all about? Thank you.
Yeah, I guess we could start with that, and then like the youth listening sessions that we're currently planning, and then I guess we'll end with talking about some certificate training programs in Santa Clara County at Foothill Community College. But I guess to start with the listening sessions, we just started to engage with different Samoan churches in Santa Clara County. And then we got into contact with their youth ministry leader, who kind of works across all the different Samoan churches, but really organizes the youth, because we were essentially planning to listen to what their specific needs are. Like the youth needs are very different from anyone else's needs in the church community. So trying to focus on their specific age group and what they're going through with, like, in the pandemic, a lot of educational learning was lost, with students having to shift to being kind of remote learning. So how are they graduating, or like how is it to try to catch up in school throughout the pandemic, and just really hearing about what was going on with students and with the youth, the Pacific Islander youth. That's kind of our goal with this project. But yeah, I'll stop there. Sina or Tuna, do you want to add anything or just to bring up what we're talking about?
Adding on to what Kwa mentioned about the youth, in addition to having to kind of shift to that remote learning, we also try to see what their needs are in terms of like physical health. Going into remote learning, there wasn't really time to go outside. We had to kind of stay away, keep distance, especially during the pandemic. How are our eating habits looking like? Or sometimes we don't really mention the topic of mental health. It's not something that we really talk about. How can we open up that conversation to the youth to find ways where we're able to help each other with find a solution for mental health? Just stuff like that, to see what the youth needs. I believe it's important to start at a young age so that we can prevent it from prolonging on for later. I think that's what I have for listening session. Duna, if you want to add anything.
I think you two pretty much summed it up, so I think we're good.
So this listening sessions is specifically for the Pacific Island youth. And so when we're talking youth, are we talking like what age group are we talking about? Because mostly when we talk youth, it's like 12 years. From 12 years, are we going
to 18? Maybe 12 to 18. I was thinking maybe that's a good age range. We haven't hosted our first listening session yet. We're planning for it currently with Monise, who is the youth stake president, I guess, who handles all the youth work. And we're planning to do it following one of their regular youth rallies. I guess all the different churches and their youth kind of come together every other Friday. And so we're going to kind of come in and meet with them physically in person, and then have a listening session with the same youth who do the bi-weekly rallies to kind of talk to them about, what are their needs since the pandemic sort of is now ending. What are their current needs, and what's really at the top of mind for them as youth, kind of trying to emerge into this world in the post-pandemic. What's going on with them? Are they going to school or college, or are they taking a gap year? I heard a lot of Islander youth are thinking of just taking a gap year. But yeah, just to really hear and open up the conversation, kind of in the same line of what Sina was bringing up. We hope to uncover and hear about, if there are mental health challenges, not even just educational challenges, but like things like mental health, staying connected, social connections with other friends in school, and things like that. Or just, has weight been a difficult thing to maintain ever since the pandemic, and we're just at home a lot? The full gambit of conversations you want to have when you're kind of a young adult and thinking about the future. We just want to make space for them. So we're starting right now with the Samoan churches. And I think, a big message for the Radio Bula listeners is that if you know anyone who is Fijian and lives in Santa Clara County and is affiliated with a church, we would love to meet them, talk to them, and see if we could organize a listening session within Fijian churches as well. So.
And I'd like to add to that, Koa, not just affiliated with any church, because there are some, like we know that most of us come from Fiji and are here and don't even go to church, and that's okay, right? We're all entitled to the way we feel, where we want to go worship. But there are some families out there, some youths out there who would rather just stay home and not go to church. I would also like them to feel that this is a safe space for them. It's not just for youths going to church, so to speak.
Yeah, and honestly, that's such a good point to point out, Una. And yeah, Claricina tapped on that heart there. I echo that because I think that, we don't want this just to be for Pacific Islander church affiliated youth. We want it to be hosted in the churches, but we want like all youth, even if you don't worship necessarily, but if you're Fijian and want to participate in the Fijian youth listening sessions one day, like I think by all means, I think we welcome all youth voices as long as they're kind of in the age group and our Pacific Islander. We want to hear from you and just want to hear what's been going on in your lives, in the pandemic and in now kind of reemerging from the pandemic.
Right. And I think that it's a double whammy for our youths. First of all, like we all know, we've been there, is trying to fit in, right? We're constantly trying to fit in. And then the other issue is, I'm an islander. How do I fit in? Here I am in this big country, or maybe we do have some Fijian youths that were born here, some that came here when they were very little. And that's why I say it's a double whammy. Like, first of all, you're trying to find yourself, to figure yourself out as a youth, as a person. And then you have this, like, okay, I'm here. I have all these different races. How do I fit in? So I am really grateful for the initiative, this Talanoa session, or whatever you may call it, that we're trying to get done here, get started. So, and I think also one of the biggest things is mental health. That's a really big deal. And another question I had is this, because you're saying Santa Clara County. We do have a lot of families that are also in Alameda counties, but might be going to church. Their churches might be in Santa Clara County. So for them to be able to participate in these kinds of programs, including is it the certification you mentioned, Koa, that we're going to get into, including that as well, do they have to have the address, do they have to be residents of the Santa Clara County?
No, and that's a great question, Una, for both things. So if you just worship in Santa Clara County, we would love your youth to participate in our youth listening sessions. Like, you don't have to be a Santa Clara resident with an address to show. We're not going to check like that. We really just want it. We're just planting it in that county physically. And then we're just hoping that, all Pacific Islander youth feel welcome and able to participate in that. But then to the other point of your question, like the Foothill Community College community health worker training programs that we're going to start talking about now. On those programs, you don't have to be a Santa Clara County resident either, I'm pretty sure. Right, Sina and Tuna?
Yes. That was a good transition over to the community health worker training. No, you don't have to be from Santa Clara County. It's open to anyone, really, because the schedule is really flexible. You're able to either work hybrid or just fully online. That gives it more flexibility for those who aren't necessarily in Santa Clara County to join the program if they want to. But yeah, to answer your question, no, it's not only for Santa Clara County. It's open to all residents, regardless of where you live.
Thank you. Okay, so now at this point, we're trying to gather the youth so then we can actually have a date for that first listening session, right?
Yeah, I believe we have it scoped out to be at the end of the month, like on the 28th. So those are going to be our first listening sessions ever, and we're going to try to also bring up the community health worker training programs or CHW training programs at those listening sessions. Because we've heard from like a couple first ladies that a lot of the youth in the church who are graduating high school, they might be interested in these programs kind of as like a first foyer into a job.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll actually post a link to the certification program. There's a little info session that was recently put on by the director. Her name is Dr. Rebecca Ryan, and we're also really interested in collaborating with her to kind of bring her to the churches too. So if like the church community want to listen to her just talk about the program at Foothill Community College, we could organize that meeting for everybody.
Thank you. And this is, there's no age restriction, right? So it could be anyone from like 18, just graduating from high school, to like a 30, 40-year-old, a 50-year-old Pacific Islander, male, female.
I guess
Right?
there's some restriction in taking the certification training, and it's really just English language.
Okay.
The instructors involved told us that because there's going to be 3 courses, and because those courses are conducted in English, it's just kind of that's the only requirement really, is if you have English skills. But
Right.
you could have any educational level, you could be any citizenship, any kind of person, as long as like you want to engage in the program, you can. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Sino, Tuna, do you have anything to add about that? I'm pretty sure it's open to everybody, regardless of age and educational level.
Got it.
Well, just a little bit about the program. It is a 9-month. There's a 9-month training program, or the 6-month. I believe the 9-month starts in September and ends next year in June, while the 6-month training program starts January of next year and ends in June 2024. And I believe there's 4 courses, with the last one being an internship. There are internships that are provided, that they provide, and although it's not a guarantee that you're able to work there, but it's a pretty high chance that you can be employed by one of the internships that are provided by the program. So I think that's a really good opportunity for our Pacific Islander community to get that exposure, because of its flexibility. Like I mentioned earlier, you can either take it hybrid or fully online, really up to you. And
That's
then
great.
also kind of get your feet wet in terms of possible future employment.
Yeah, in health or public health professions, working in community health. These trainings are really for you if you're kind of interested in like that health adjacent kind of field. But yeah, I think the reason why we're also proposing it to the community is that we made sure like that it was kind of a funded program, so that if we navigated our community to this community college to take this certification training and take part in these 3 courses over 6 months or 9 months, that they wouldn't be asked to pay anything.
Right. I was going to ask that.
That's something that we kind of verified on the back end. Like we met with the right people, and basically it does come with an associated cost to participate in the program. But we've been told by funders that like if our community enrolled in the program, it should come at no cost to them. And in fact, I think the program is even looking to pay participants who engage in the program a modest stipend. I believe it's like anywhere between $20 and like maybe $28. There's a little sliding scale on how much that students who enroll in it will get paid. But that's good to hear though that there's money aside for if you want to engage in the program, to really incentivize your participation. I think that was good to hear.
So you're saying $20 to $28. Is that per day, per hour, or how does that work?
I'm not sure exactly how it works, like in terms of if it's per day or per hour. I think it's per hour of time that you were maybe participating in the course. I'm not sure. But that's actually a great question. And honestly, I think we will work on our end to get you an answer for that, because that's a great question. We've never been asked like about the stipends themselves, but we've asked a lot of questions about them, about whether or not they exist, you know. We weren't sure if we navigated our islanders, like young people,
really,
to that,
yeah,
would they get paid, would they be supported to even get through the program? And for the most part, we've been getting yeses that you know, if they try to enroll, there's going to be some costs, but that all that cost to enroll will be covered, and then while you're participating in the program, you'll get paid a stipend. But the only thing that people have told us, the instructors involved at Foothill Community College have cautioned us, is that, you know, we can't overpromise the number of the stipend, because apparently if there's a lot of interest in the community, the stipend will be lower. That's what we were told. So if there's a ton of community and a ton more interest than they thought, then they can't pay every individual young person a high stipend, if that makes sense, because there's only a limited amount of funding. But because the September like semester or quarter is about to start, the 9-month program starting in September is going to begin soon. I think we'll know then, you know, how much the stipends are. So, because there's going to be a second start date again, as Claricina kind of said, that it's going to start
January.
a 6-month program in January. And so we'll know more, you know, after this program starts in September, how people are paid, how are, you know, any participant, how they're doing in the program. Because I think for the task force, we would like to track our people that we navigate to the program, just to make sure that we help them and support them so that they can complete the training.
Right.
And then it completes next year in June. So whether or not you elect to do the 9-month or 6-month, they both end at the same time in June of next year.
Got it. Stipend aside, just the fact that they'd be able to go to school to get this certification at no cost. I know you did mention there are some costs involved, but it would be taken care of, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that we really tried to make sure that we ironed out before we started to promote it in the community. Because we didn't want to, you know, start to promote it like it's a good opportunity in a college setting. If the community we were gonna navigate to it would have to pay out of pocket for it. So that's something we really didn't want to happen. So I think we did enough of our due diligence to make sure that the institution, they are going to charge some amount, but it'll be covered by a funding stream that's meant to cover trainings like this for our people specifically.
That's great.
So.
That's great. Thank you. So I hope to be able to have a confirmation on like the age range and the exact times of, let's say, the classes, just because I know that most of our people are already, you know, working or would probably prefer to do part-time. Like Sina mentioned, they could do hybrid, and maybe that's what they'd prefer, but what would the time range be? And also the curriculum. Do we have any idea? I know it's a health worker program, because I know most of our people are familiar with the CNA program, with the home health aid program that's, I think, required by the state. What is this health worker program? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, like in terms of like the requirement to
the curriculum,
the certificate. Yeah, well, we do know that there's 4 main requirements. There's 3 that's like coursework, so they're kind of like a health-related coursework that you'll be taking throughout either 9 months or 6 months, and then there's an internship requirement after that. And you know, if there are any Islander community members who are looking for a specific internship, they could elect one that works for them, or they could potentially work with the task force and fulfill out that internship requirement just supporting us on our work in Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the 3 courses, it's just 3 courses either paced out over 9 months or paced out over 6 months. But what you said about the part-time work, Una, I think that's really an important point. And the instructor let us know that if the community wanting to get involved in the program is already working a full-time job, that perhaps having the courses spaced out over 9 months is more approachable,
ideal
doable for them. Yeah, more ideal for them to complete the program. Because, acknowledging that this isn't a full-time student program, this is just a certificate program.
Right.
And acknowledging, too, that the community have jobs that they're already doing, and this isn't a job, right? So this is just an opportunity to get educational credits and hopefully professional development, too, to then get a higher paying job in the future. So
is this, what would you say? Is it equivalent or maybe not so equal, but how would you compare it, or how would you rate it in terms of the CNA, the home health aid? Let's say if I didn't have this certification, and for someone who had this certification, does that mean that the person with the certification would have more chances of getting into a CNA program, or how does that work?
Well, it's a little different from certified nursing assistance programs, but it's similar in the same way that it's not necessarily like a BSN, like a bachelor's in skilled nursing. It is kind of adjacent to like a public health degree or a public health focused professional track, but isn't exactly like the same level of investment needed to get that level. So community health workers have always been around, but only recently, since last year, was the United States paying for that service. So anyway, in a short way to say, having this training and having this certificate will arm you with the ability to be a certified professional, a certified community health worker, or CHW. And what that allows you to do is to get reimbursed by Medi-Cal, like systems like state Medi-Cal systems. And that alone will make you more employable by different community health centers that work with navigating people to, vaccination appointments or health insurance sort of eligibility review, that kind of supports. We can now reimburse it through if you have the certification, if that makes sense. So
got it.
It's a whole new thing since last year. So I think even us, we're still learning.
Right.
But there is some professional piece that really comes with earning the certificate.
That's great. Great to know. I guess we won't know the details until we get it started on it, right?
Yeah, but I'm even wondering, I wonder if the Dr. Rebecca Ryan wouldn't mind coming on Radio Bula Devata.
Yes, please.
To talk about it directly through the radio.
Yes.
I wonder if she'd be interested in just us asking our questions in that space. And
right.
That could be a future program we come in with.
Yeah, hopefully we could have her on Monday, next Monday. So then she can go into details on the curriculum, because it's I'm listening, and if I want to attend this certification program, I'm thinking, okay, community health worker, what exactly does it enable me to do if I do get this certificate? And if Dr. Rebecca can come on the show and, go into details on that, I think it would be really helpful.
I think so too. That would be worthwhile, that she kind of explain, what does this mean in the context of occupation in the United States? What does this mean? If I take this training, does this arm me to be better hireable? And then in what setting am I more able to be hired in? Right. I think she does go into it a little bit. I think,
what would I be learning? Is it worth my time attending this certification program, or can I just go into a specific medical field that I want to get into? Those things. Thank you. Anything else that you want to share, Tuna and Sia and Koa?
Actually, I did have a breakdown of the courses.
Great.
So altogether, there's only 15 units that you need to complete in order to get your certificate for a community health worker.
Mm-hmm.
One of the courses, which is 4 units, is it's called Exploring Leadership. Um, from that course, you get to learn about um, how to lead organization, learning about leadership theory, and that kind of helps you with personal development,
Mm-hmm.
how you can really transform change in a community. That's the first course that you take.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second course you would have to take is called Contemporary Health Concern, where you sort of kind of focus on major health issues. Um, and like some topics could be like nutrition, exercise, mental health is also part of that, stress management, violence, substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
disease prevention, kind of the whole spectrum of public health. I feel like you'll kind of get an introduction of each topic in this class, in that course, the
That's
contemporary
great.
health.
I
And
feel
then,
I feel like we all need to attend it.
yeah,
The four of us.
And then the third one, which is 5 units, is the Introduction to Community Health Work. I think that's why it's more heavy um, compared to the other two courses, because this is where you really get to kind of dive deep into what you need to know in order to be a community health worker.
And then what does community health worker even mean? Like,
That's
learn
great.
yeah.
humility practices, pandemic-related navigation, and then of course the last internship. The last course we mentioned was the internship,
Mm-hmm.
which is only 2 units. But again, that I'm pretty sure is provided by. You get to choose from the Foothill provides you with that, so you don't have to go really look further
Mm-hmm.
for the internship. But yeah, just 15 units, and those are the 3 courses in the internship that is needed to complete the community health worker certificate.
I love it already. So I'll get that from you, Sina, and we can put that up on our page if that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Any last words before we call it a day?
I'll put in our email addresses in the chat just in case anyone wants to reach out to us. We'll be here to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the Facebook chat. Yeah, feel free to literally email each and every one of us your questions if you want to hear more about the certification program for being a community health worker. We could refer you to the right people to get into enrollment for that. And then if you are interested in helping us identify more Fijian community members in Santa Clara who are either affiliated with the church or not, we would love to connect more to kind of plan youth listening sessions. So please email us.
Thank you. I see the email. I see the link. So thank you. Ni wakarorong tiku menguri non de wasiningona do me rongo de tiku na beka ni moniti kena wakarombuka rato we toko ni tiku kena na Regional Pacific Islander Task Force ni songo ka do we toko ni wakalia bu kanda na ngole mai na wasa Pasifika kanda sama i wakai tiku and no le bungo America rato me wakai tavi tiku ani ke Cole Lopez Claricina ke Tuna karto benga ravitiko na betal no tinga ne kavini kua be bakong get tiko ani go be communicate na tiko and county na Santa Clara County kere ronyo ninge be tartar mai onange sangami ona be tartar ani ke kamuni me rauni na lakindo kina na nondo to be talano bat kerto no pakelisi kani sare de tiko mengori wakam bimbi tiko bir na tambangone au kelani ando na ulutanga bimbi ka liu sarangan lenga and then the wakila talitunga kina da mai sarava tiko and abunua livungo Amerika koia bimbi kina me tona ngai vitala noa bat keratona lewe tolu karato mai wakitavi tiko vikanda and singa livu ni koa and nonta programo wakamadawa na Regional Pacific Islander Task Force. Thank you Koa, thank you Claricina and Tuna. I hope to have you guys back here maybe sometimes this Friday or next week or whenever you have something to share with our listeners, with our Fijian community, please feel free to come on board. Thank you.
No, thank you, Una. Appreciate it.
You all have a good afternoon.
You as well.
Ongo na programo
Bye,
Warotaki
everybody.
man Regional Pacific Islander Task Force and a radio mulundong te San Francisco, na Kauti Kenta Patamay.